Hello and welcome back to Tech. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this very interesting Neopixle RGB LED glass sign with using a few simple parts, such as an Arduino Nano. And this device has a special feature, such as a push-button color changing mode. Let's get started. And these are the items you're going to need to make for this project. The items you're going to need: a piece of cardboard, a sheet of glass, 12 WS12b Neopixles, a 9-volt battery connector, a 9-volt battery, a push-button switch, and an Arduino Nano. And you're also going to need some neodymium magnets and a 330 ohm resistor. Now let's go and assemble this project and let's get started. First, I'm going to go measure out a piece of cardboard, and as you can see, 5 centimeters is the right length. It's an uneven number because I can be able to take the Neopixles and place it at 3 centimeters, which will be the center of the cardboard. This right here looks nice, so now I'm going to go ahead and take a pin and make a mark to measure it. Next, make a line going across. This will be where I'll cut. Do the same thing for the Neopixels, so that way I know where to place them. Next, take a X-Acto knife and cut where that line is. Next, I'm going to solder tin the input of the Neopixel. And as you can see, this right here is the center of the cardboard and the center of the Neopixels. Right here is the center because 6 Neopixels on each side, and in the middle is the center, which is right here. Place it right here like this. Take some hot glue and glue down the Neopixels. Place it perfectly in the center. Next, take a ruler to flatten down the Neopixels so that way everything is more even. Next, take another piece of cardboard and place it over the LEDs like this. Make a mark so that way I know where to cut. And as you can see, I've cut 2 pieces. The 2 pieces will slightly overlap the LEDs. Placing them over like this. Doing this will allow me to have space to put the glass in between. And as you can see, there's still a little gap, which means I need to place more cardboard on top. Before I do that, I'm going to go and take a measurement with using the 9-volt battery, so that way I know how big to make the housing for this project. This right here is perfect. Next, I'm going to take a screwdriver and make a hole at the input of the Neopixels. Make a hole right here. Doing this will allow me to place the wires inside. Next, take some wires and solder it to the input of the Neopixels. Solder the brown wire to ground, yellow wire to data, orange wire to 5 volts. Next, take the wires and put them inside the hole. And there we go, it should look just like this. Next, take an Arduino Nano and a 330 ohm resistor and place a resistor over to data 9. Doing this will protect the LEDs to make the LEDs last longer. And I'll solder it into place. Cut off the excess. And cut off the excess of the resistor. Solder tin it. And I'll take the data wire from the Neopixels and then place a shrink tube over it. And I'll solder the data wire over to the resistor. Take the shrink tube, place it over. And I'll shrink the tube. Next, take the 5-volt wire and place it over to 5 volts. Solder it into place. And I'll take the brown wire and connect it to ground. Solder it into place. And add a little bit extra solder so that way I can ground the push button switch. Next, take the 9-volt battery clip. Take the positive wire and place it over to VIN or voltage in. Solder it into place. Cut off the excess, and I'll take the negative wire from the 9-volt battery clip and place it into ground. Solder it into place. Next, take 2 wires and solder it to the push button switch. And I'll take 2 shrink tubes and place it over the wires. And I'll shrink the tubes while pressing on the tubes close to the switch, so that way it stays flush with the switch. Melt it a little bit and I'll pinch it. And now melt the other side. And there we go, properly insulated. Next, take the push button switch and slide the wires through the hole. And now take one of the wires on the push button switch and place it in data 2. Solder it into place. And I'll take the second wire and solder it to ground. And now it's time to test it out. Plug in the 9-volt battery. And as you can see, it works. Push the button. And it turns red. Turns green. Turns blue. And white. As you can see, it works. Next, I'm going to take the sheet of glass. And I'm going to take my phone, which I have my design right here. I decided to use my logo. And what I can do is I can take a permanent marker and trace out my logo. Of course, if you have a tablet which is slightly bigger, that can also work. Or of course, you can even use a piece of paper with a design that you drew. So what I'm going to do is place the sheet of glass over my phone and take a permanent marker and then simply trace out everything. And there we go, I traced out my design on this piece of glass, which is a very good example. Of course, if you wanted to, you can always take a piece of paper and do the same thing. Example, like this. I can draw out a schematic and do the same thing. It's optional. Next, I'm going to take these pieces of cardboard and create the housing for this device. Take some hot glue and place it right here on the side. And then take this piece of cardboard and glue it into place. Repeat the same process on the opposite side. And there we go, both sides are now glued into place. Add some more hot glue to glue down on this side. And there we go, this side is now complete. Add some more hot glue to secure it in place better. And now repeat the same process on the opposite side. And there, this part is now complete. Next, I'm going to add some more hot glue on top of the housing. And now glue this piece of cardboard into place. Press it down. And now repeat the same process on the opposite side. And now add some more hot glue on top of this piece of cardboard. On both sides. And now take the pieces of cardboard and gently put them in place. And now work quickly and take the piece of glass and put it in between. Adjust the pieces of cardboard in place so that way you can hold in the piece of glass. And now this sheet of glass is now centered in place. I'm going to take these pieces of cardboard and put it on the side. Get an idea of where they need to be. Make a mark. And now glue these two pieces of cardboard together. Doing this will make this piece of cardboard extra strong. Next, I'm going to place some hot glue onto the mark that I made. And I'll take this piece of thick cardboard and glue it into place. Do the same thing on the opposite side. And there, I have my two pieces of cardboard glued into place. And it should look just like this. As you can see, this piece of glass is still wobbly. That's because I need to add extra support, and I'm going to take these little pieces of cardboard and place them behind the glass. Place them in this orientation like this, which will then allow the piece of glass to stay in place. Take some hot glue and put a little bit of hot glue on each side. Take the piece of cardboard and glue it into place. Leave a little bit sticking out, so that way you can hold the piece of glass in place. And there we go, all four sides are now connected. And now take the sheet of glass and put it into place, and as you can see, it stays in place. Next, I'm going to take a Dremel with a diamond bit and etch out the design. This design isn't very good, so I redid it, and this design looks a lot better. And now I'm going to take the Dremel and etch out the design. And now, carefully etch out the design by hand with using a Dremel. And as you can see, it looks just like this when complete. Now using a Dremel by hand works, but in my opinion it would be a lot better if I used a CNC. It will come out more even and more nicer. But in my opinion, this came out pretty good, even though I did it by hand. And as you can see, there's some leftover permanent marker, and I'm going to take this rubbing alcohol and dissolve the permanent marker. Spray it on just like this, and you can see it's starting to dissolve. And I'll take a paper towel and just simply wipe it off. And there we go, it comes off just like this. And now finish washing it off with using soap and water. And now it should come out nice and clean, just like this. And as you can see, this looks very nice. Next, I'm going to take the device, turn it over. I'm going to take the 9-volt battery, and then take the Neo to Mini magnets and place them onto the 9-volt battery. Put them in place, just like this. Next, put a little dab of hot glue on top of the Neo to Mini magnets. And now quickly glue the Neo to Mini magnets to the housing, and doing this will allow the Neo to Mini magnets to glue to the housing and not to the 9-volt battery, and when it glues into place, I can be able to remove and replace the 9-volt battery. And now add some hot glue and put it on the side of the housing, and glue down the push button switch. And there we go, glued into place. And as you can see, removing the 9-volt battery leaves the magnets behind, and now I can just simply replace the 9-volt battery and stick it to the magnets. And it stays in place. And now let's go ahead and plug in the 9-volt battery. Stick it to the magnets. And there we go, stays in place. And there, now it's time to test it out. And now take the sheet of glass and put it into place. And there, the project is now complete. Let's go ahead and test it out. Turn off the lights, push the button, and it turns red. Ah, this looks very nice. Push the button again, turns green. And now it turns blue. And now white. And now a couple pushes, and it'll turn into rainbow. And as you can see, this looks very nice. And now a couple more pushes, and it'll turn into random rainbow. In my opinion, this type of animation is my favorite. This looks very nice. And of course, if you want to reset this device, just simply press the reset button on the Arduino Nano. And it turns off. Push the button, and it turns on, and it turns red, and does all the same patterns. And there you have it. Now you're going to make your very own Neopixle RGB LED glass sign with using a few simple parts, such as an Arduino Nano and pieces of cardboard. Thank you for watching SciTech Tech. I hope you learned something new, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and of course click on the bell icon to be notified of future SciTech Tech videos. Till the next tech, goodbye.